The British Fairey swordfish bomber, remembered by history under its ironic nickname Stringbag, became one of the most striking paradoxes of World War II. By 1939, this fabric-covered biplane with an open cockpit and fixed landing gear looked hopelessly obsolete. Yet it was precisely this slow, ungainly machine that went on to write some of the brightest chapters in naval warfare history. Development began in the early 1930s at Fairey Aviation. Britain needed a truly universal carrier aircraft. Spotter, reconnaissance platform, and torpedo bomber rolled into one. Designed under the leadership of Marcel Lobel, the Swordfish first flew in 1934, and even then, its performance figures failed to impress. What it did have, however, was exceptional durability. A metal frame covered with fabric could absorb serious punishment and survive damage that would have been fatal to far more modern aircraft. Its roughly 700 horsepower engine allowed a top speed of only about 220 kilometers per hour, but that very slowness turned out to be a tactical advantage. For small carriers with short decks, the Swordfish's low landing speed was a perfect fit. The first production Swordfish rolled off the line in the spring of 1936. Naval aviators quickly christened it the Stringbag, not only because of its appearance, uncannily reminiscent of a mesh shopping bag, but also because of its phenomenal versatility. The biplane could carry almost any weapon imaginable. Its arsenal included standard 18-inch torpedoes. As the war went on, unguided rockets and even early radar sets for submarine hunting were added. Crews loved the aircraft for its astonishingly forgiving handling and rock-steady flight characteristics. Another defining trait was its ability to take off from and land on the cramped decks of escort carriers in atrocious weather, something many other aircraft of the era, including newer ones, simply could not manage. The Swordfish's combat debut as a torpedo bomber came in the spring of 1940. When Italy entered the war, the biplanes were thrown straight into the struggle for control of the Mediterranean. Despite their small numbers, Swordfish operating from Malta spent 9 months thinning Italian convoys, sending thousands of tons of shipping to the bottom every month. Their first truly spectacular success came with the audacious raid on the Italian fleet at Taranto. Italian commanders believed the harbor was safe, protected by shallow water and anti-torpedo nets. They were wrong. The biplanes crippled 3 battleships, 2 cruisers, and a pair of destroyers. The operation didn't just shift the balance of power in the Mediterranean, it directly influenced Japanese planning ahead of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Swordfish also played a decisive role in the legendary hunt for the Bismarck battleship. Flying in appalling weather, biplane crews managed to track down and critically damage the German giant. One torpedo jammed the rudder, robbing the ship of maneuverability. Soon after, the doomed battleship was finished off by the Royal Navy. Heavy losses eventually forced Germany and Italy to strengthen their air defenses and rely more heavily on fighters. Against Messerschmitts, the slow biplane stood no chance, and from 1942 onward, it was used less and less as a torpedo bomber. That did not mean it was obsolete. Equipped with radar and rockets, the Swordfish continued to escort Arctic convoys and patrol the vast reaches of the Atlantic for years. Remarkably, the Swordfish remained in service even after Germany's surrender, and training units flew it until the summer of 1946. The secret of the Stringbag's longevity lay in its simplicity and ruggedness, qualities that proved more valuable than technical sophistication in the conditions of a global war.